Hi everyone. Typically do my full moon videos a couple of days, not on the 18th. If it's on the 22nd, maybe around the 20th. But I'm doing it now because I've been meaning to do this video for a couple of days now on different energies. But I'm going to combine everything and do it now. The full moon is on December the 22nd in the sign of Cancer. Here on the West Coast, December 22nd morning. So I would imagine in a lot of the part of the world, it's happening on December the 22nd. I'm going to let you check the date and time wherever it is that you are at. Um, Everyone's chart right now is experiencing energy in 3 or 4 very distinct areas. It's like planets are clumped together for the most part in 3 areas with one planet Venus trying to bring resolution to something. So let me jump in. The first and primary message, I think, is that it is time to move forward, which is great because so much of this year has been about waiting. So much of this year has been about waiting. And I talk a certain amount in these videos about forward movement and lack of forward movement, but the bottom line is between now and the end of February, you can almost think of it as all systems go. And, you know, we wait so long for episodes of forward movement and we resent time periods where we don't get to experience forward movement, that it's almost still going to be a little bit like, be careful what you wish for, because when the universe is asking you to wait, or when the universe is asking you to deal with past things, while so much of that is unexciting often, there's a certain amount of peace and calm to it. But forward movement basically means that it's time to roll up our sleeves and exert a certain amount of effort and to start planting some seeds and start taking some action and start moving. And it's that requirement of action that can create its own set of challenges and its own set of inertia. And I would advise strongly to delay no longer, but to just get out there and start moving in the directions that you're supposed to move and start building and creating whatever it is that you need to start building and creating. The last of the planets that is retrograde, Uranus, goes direct. I think it's January the 7th, might be January the 9th, I can't remember. It's one of the two. And Uranus being retrograde or going stationary doesn't bother me that much right now. What is more important and interesting is that this theme of let us roll up our sleeves, let us get moving, what is our forward with vision? And it's not just forward vision. What has happened over the last 6, 7, 8 months, since April almost to some extent, that we are now going to put behind because there are things that have been completed, or there are actions that have happened, or there have been relationship drama that has happened. And where do we need to go? And let's start to construct that. Excuse me. I'm getting over a cold. Let's start to construct that reality. And it is going to take action on your part. It's a kind of a let's leave no stone unturned kind of energy. Let's inform people. Let's talk. Let's be in conversation. And let's figure out where does the universe wants us to go. What does the universe want us to release and not go back to? What does the universe want us to create? Now, this forward movement theme occurs on a couple of different levels now, December 18th, 19th. One is, of course, we have a full moon in 3 or 4 days' time. So there can be an increase in productivity over the next 3 or 4 or 5 days, which is great. Let's welcome it. Let's do what needs to be done. For some people, if it involves needing energy and picking up the pace to some extent when it comes to family stuff and holiday stuff, great. Then you might be given a certain amount of energy and oomph to do that. Some of this depends on where it is that the sun is in your chart. If you, for example, have a Capricorn ascendant, then it's going to be hard to. It's going to be, somewhere there's going to be a certain amount of conflict between what it is between a need to rest and relax and a need to be in action. But certainly as you head towards the 22nd, the need to be busier or accelerating pace is going to occur. So by all means, take advantage of the next 3 or 4 days and get stuff done. If you've been waiting to take action on certain things, it's a great time to let the horses get out of the gates. Full moons can bring positive things, as in completions, as in offers or resolutions or completions of a good kind. Full moons can also bring completions or drama or increased emotional outbursts to some extent. So watch and see whether you think that's desired or whether it isn't. Sometimes it can be desired. Sometimes it's an expression of certain truths that is really important to everyone, or important to you perhaps, or important to someone else. So if you're on the receiving end of someone else's meltdown, just try and see what you think is going on and what it's about and why it is that it's bursting out this way. But it's not just, it can be drama, it can be tears, it can be, but as I said, it can be resolutions, it can be completions, it could be being pushed into the limelight in some way. The entire disk of the moon gets revealed, it becomes a giant spotlight, something gets shown. Productivity-wise, things crest until then. So certainly as you head towards the 22nd, 23rd, 24th, just pay attention to what is culminating in either a good way or maybe in a more challenging way. So that's one level of this increase in productivity demand. The other one, as I said, is between now, January 7th, the last of the retrograde planets goes direct, and then all planets are direct till March the 7th, March the 6th, when Mercury goes retrograde again. So between now and the end of February, because the week before Mercury goes retrograde, between now and the end of February, it's all about, it's not about the past, it's about what you want to create, and try to not compromise what can be, really. And this is bringing me now to the astrological themes and other parts of the chart. I mean, the full moon is happening in Cancer, but the bulk of the energy in the chart is in Pisces and Capricorn and Sagittarius and Scorpio. So the full moon is happening, but the energy of the chart is almost in different areas. And there's a lot of talk about how this is a wonderful full moon and this is this full moon and that full moon. Again, I would say be cautious. I think that one of the things that has even surprised me, insofar as I could see it was coming, but I did not know it would be so prominent in people's charts in the way November and December, mid-November onwards would roll out, is, November 15th, Mars entered Pisces. I knew it was going there. I knew we would be distracted by events related perhaps to 2015, 2016, that we would have an opportunity to heal. I just didn't know that it would take over people's charts quite to the extent that it did. If there are things from 2015-16 that are needing to be healed and that have taken center stage, and you're finding that you're spending a lot of time dealing with this stuff, and other parts of the chart are going to be helping and supporting this too in some ways, by all means, especially the next couple of months, a couple of weeks, roll up your sleeves and deal with it. The full moon is going to happen in a certain part of the chart, but it's possible that if some part of your life has taken a hit, a demand for attention, productive, positive attention ultimately, but still taken some sort of hit or some sort of a challenge since November the 15th, then roll up your sleeves and continue to heal that part of your life related to things that became crises in 2015 and 2016 assertively. Be careful that part of the energy can be aggressive, but it could very well be that Mars, till the end of this month, continues to bring things to your attention that require active engagement. And it will give you the energy to pursue solutions. So by all means, this idea of rolling up our sleeves, the thing that bothers me about this full moon actually is that even though it's happening in Cancer, there's some activity in Pisces that makes me think things related to things that came up after November the 15th. There could be either an opportunity to create a solution, or if you have not been active enough to create the solution, there could be another hit. There could be another, are you going to take this seriously or are you not? Especially as you head towards Christmas Day. So the invitation to continue to heal whatever it is that reached crisis point in 2015, 2016, I'm the best I can. This is a general summary. Assertively till the end of the year, and pay attention to anything that comes at you assertively, even perhaps aggressively. Put some structures around it and leave no stone unturned. in actively trying to find healing for this situation. You're going to be dealing with these energies till March or April. And certainly by the time you head to March, there's going to be more kinds of energies here. But the ultimate message is, can we put this stuff to bed? So use the part of the energy of forward movement to deal with this and to tackle this. The January 4th solar eclipse is going to bring its own set of energies, and we'll talk about that more as we head to it. If there was a relationship that reached some sort of a crisis around October the 5th, or again around that November 15th time frame, there is an opportunity to make progress, whatever that progress is, again, forward movement related, till the end of this year, till January 4th to 7th, till that time period. So continue to, let's say there was some sort of a collapse, or there was some sort of a crisis, or there were some sort of a relationship that came up for reevaluation between October 5th and November 15th. The energy now is sweeter, but the question is it sweeter in order to heal something, or is it sweeter because you're moving on from it? And this is going to vary from life to life, from person to person, from chart to chart. So again, if you were to say, Abhi, summarize, I would say, look, this is it. This is the time you've been waiting for, to feel like the shackles are off, and you may have the energy, or you may be required to be in action. Certainly between now and the end of February is all about creating the new. That could be unexpected. If you think creating the new is going to mean that thing is all about gain, it's not necessarily. It could also be about loss, but it is creating the new. And I think that ultimately in fated and therefore effective, perhaps, or necessary ways. So leave no stone unturned, get out that to-do list, see if you're still continuing to be distracted, see where, since October the 5th, but especially since November the 15th, the universe has been saying, this is what you have to pay attention to. And I'm giving you the opportunity, maybe through a couple of crises, to start to move forward and start to put some of this stuff to bed and to start to heal some of this stuff. And as I referenced in the last video, some of the healing or the opportunities might be surprised. It's like it could be an about turn. It could be the conversation. It could be that things are happening in ways that you, after the crisis, didn't seem possible. So keep a positive and a high vision of what is possible, by all means, as you execute and as you move towards wherever it is that you can move towards. And by no means rely on the astrology of the time to get you there. We don't get 2-month windows where all planets are direct that often. So let's bring out those lists. Let's get things done. The energy is already in the air, and let's start to experience some creation of the new. And the only way you can control that is by leaving no stone unturned, and by communicating, and by talking to people, and by getting clear on what it is that you're trying to create, and to understand where the universe is trying to take you, to understand where those doors are closing, and to be open that you might think, oh, I'm going to end up with all this, but, especially as you head towards the end of January, or especially as you head towards March, actually, there might be a few places where the universe is like, no, that door's closing. And that's okay, because it might ultimately prove helpful. So next 3 or 4 days, continued escalation, January 22nd full moon. Great. Biggest concern is issues related to 2015, 2016 crises, where messages have been coming in since November the 15th with regard to, even surprisingly, it's like life was going in a certain direction, and then all of a sudden there was this. And as I said, even I knew that attention would have to go there. I just didn't know it would become so dramatic. I just didn't know that when I looked at it, I was just like, really? It's going to be that? In a lot of cases, some of the energy since November the 15th has brought urgency to things that were crises in 2015, 2016 in a surprisingly urgent and intense way. But the opportunity and the overall message is fix it. And the only way to fix it is by being in action now. And my concern for people who have not been in action enough, or are in resistance, or are not leaving every stone unturned, is that between now, that especially as we head to the 20th, which is in 2 days' time, and the end of the year, if you're not careful, there could be another hit. Or, I have to say, there could be another opportunity for healing too. So if there is another hit, or there's a kind of conflicty, just see if actually things are leading to such a place where you can get to the next stage in terms of the healing. Do you meet someone who can help? Do you have conversations that take things to the next level? And ultimately, again, it's resolution and healing on a wider scale from multiple parties. So can you push things forward in such a way that there is greater resolution, greater healing? And I would certainly continue to experiment with that. So the only danger I see with the new full moon, because there's an escalation of energy, is whether something breaks down related to those 2015, 2016 crises. But outside of that, I would say that this is the time we've been waiting for. It falls awkwardly right in the holiday season, but I would say bring out the list of things that you've been trying to get done and let's go. Okay, I will be back in touch probably in a couple of weeks, but as soon as I see fit. Thank you.